What's up, everybody? Dual666 here. I know I've been away a long time. I told you guys I was not going to be quite as frequent this year. I've been focusing elsewhere. I've been really focused on both of the bands that I'm in right now, Braineater and Green Terror. Braineater just put out a new release like last month. I'm going to link that down below. You should go check that out. Green Terror is going to have a new release pretty soon here too, and then yeah, we'll see what happens in the future. But like I said, been away focusing on other stuff, but I do have a pretty sick little update for you guys here today. We're going to be doing 50s, 60s, and 70s horror today. And you guys know how I like to do it. Let's get started here. Soundtrack for the day is my friends in Dowrr. And they're from, I think they're from Long Beach. My bands have played with them in Long Beach like a couple times. And then they played out here in my neck of the woods, you know, in the desert, Desert Hot Springs, California. So yeah, very cool, like doomy and like sludgy sort of death metal from the LA area. I'll definitely link them down below. Hope you guys enjoy, and yeah, cheers, guys. There we go, huh? Alright, we'll give this one a little shake here. Get it moving. Big shout out to my boy Kyle Cooney. He left this at my house, and usually he would come back and he would finish up whatever he left last time, but he hasn't been around as often, so I'm gonna drink this, man. I'll bring you something else real tasty sometime soon whenever I see you. But yeah, cheers everybody. Got some, what is that called? Yeah, Worthy Brewing in Bend, Oregon, the Stratus Hazy IPA. Pretty heavy, like 7%. That's pretty good. Alright, guys, let's jump in. First one we have here from 1959, we have The Man Who Could Cheat Death with Anton Diffring, Hazel Court, and Christopher Lee. This is like an earlier role for Christopher Lee, and it's not super pivotal. I don't think he has top billing, but this is like a very atypical like sci-fi late 50s horror movie where it's just like beakers and Bunsen burners and mad scientists sort of stuff. Definitely like science fiction, as in like not quite space-bound yet, but just like ridiculous, you know, science in the old world. And this, I don't know, it's just like, it's okay. It's a little dry. Like, I would say that, you know, most people that like later horror would not be into the 50s at all. But, you know, it's definitely got some regal actors in this, and some cool early performances. I liked it well enough. Definitely not, like, on my watch again list, like, anytime soon, but, like, I thought it was fine for a 50s flick. You know, the 50s are not necessarily my favorite time or era. Damn, they're going to hit me with an ad this early, huh? Goodbye. But I would give this, you know, like a 6 or 7 out of 10 as far as 50s horror is concerned. Not bad, not great, right in the middle. Okay, moving into the 60s here, we have a double feature. We have Village of the Damned and Children of the Damned, the sequel. And this is also like science fiction horror. It's like these kids that have telepathic, you know, abilities and telekinesis and all sorts of strange shit going on in the first one. And it's just in one town in the first film, and then the sequel is the greater effects of them discovering these kids later, you know, globally. And yeah, I saw these very early. My dad actually, I think he rented the same DVD like from Netflix years and years and years ago. And because of that, I kind of put off buying it. This is something that I bought at Zia Records one of the last times I was in Vegas, which was quite a while ago now too. So I've actually been sitting on it even still. Pretty good 60s horror for the first one. I really enjoy the first one. It's very creepy and menacing. The second one is obviously not quite as good, but still, you know, why would you watch the first one and not watch the second one? This is definitely, I think, the best way to buy it if you can seek out this Warner Brothers DVD. It's a cool double feature, and yeah, I would say go check that one out for sure. Classic 60s. Classic 60s stuff. We've got a few Christopher Lee Dracula films here. We got a couple snapper cases. This first one, Warner Brothers snapper case. This movie is rated G, but I don't think it should have been. Like, it's not exactly over the top gratuitous or anything, but Dracula Has Risen from the Grave definitely has some crazy moments in it, I would think. It's right in the middle of Lee's time as Dracula, as far as like when he started, because I believe he started in the early 60s as Dracula, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even late 50s, I'm not sure. I know I don't have all of Christopher Lee's Dracula films, that's for sure. But this was a good one. I really enjoyed it. I actually watched this one and the next one with my wife. We really, really enjoyed these. These are cool, like, middle period Hammer films, and I mean, you just can't go wrong with Christopher Lee as Dracula. Plenty of creepy stuff to be had here. Same goes for Taste the Blood of Dracula. Not quite as strong, I would say, but still a worthy follow-up from 1969. Definitely showing some signs of, getting kind of creatively burnt out with Christopher Lee as Dracula, but I don't know, still. I think this is a classic, In my book, this is a classic. I would watch basically any of these Christopher Lee Dracula movies, basically whenever, if anybody was up to it, or I don't know. I just don't think they're unwatchable. And a lot of people talk shit on these, and I think that they're pretty damn good. This one, not so much. We have Count Dracula and His Vampire Brides, which I learned is also known as the Satanic Rites of Count Dracula, or Satanic Rites of Dracula. Not sure which, but this is yet another Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing tack on here. 1973, so yeah, it's a little later. It's in the 70s. Definitely on the shit end of the stick as far as Christopher Lee Dracula movies go. There's definitely some wild shit to be seen here too. It's like not a total bust, but I would say that it's a little lackluster compared to the films that came before it. Still, very happy to have it. I actually have an Alpha Video DVD under the other title, so it's pretty cool to get one under this title as well. Not to mention, this is one of those old Diamond Entertainment DVDs that I love so much. My dad had a bunch of these growing up. He had like House on Haunted Hill and Bucket of Blood and like The Terror, like all of these, this particular release of those movies, the Diamond Entertainment. Hit me with another commercial, huh? You guys suck. Alright, there we go. Back onto it, guys. Alright, we got a couple that are not quite necessarily horror. They're kind of horror adjacent. This is like kind of science fiction, kind of just straight up adventure film. But we have Beneath the 12-Mile Reef, 1959. Don't at me, guys, but I'm pretty sure that every single one of the movies from the 50s in this update is from 1959. So it's kind of right on the edge, but doing my best here, guys. Trying to come up with some interesting themes for the updates. Just watched this one earlier, actually, and I don't know, it's pretty bland in my opinion. There's some cool parts here. It's not really horror, but I wanted to include it because it's kind of horror adjacent, and I don't know, seek it out if you really want to, but it's definitely not really a horror film. It's just some like kind of thriller-ish parts, but it's the 50s. How thrilling can it really be, right? Another one from 1959 here. And not necessarily horror, but from a renowned horror director. We have Alfred Hitchcock's North by Northwest. Good Lord. Don't want to screw that one up, because this was really, really good. But like I said, not really a horror film. More of just like a thriller film. And it's colorized, actually, for a 50s film. That's really, really cool to see. It was very well acted, obviously, per usual with Hitchcock. Very well directed. It's just a little long and drawn out and dry and in comparison to 60s Hitchcock, which is more so my thing. And speaking of which, pretty cool to find a snapper case of that. But we found a steelbook of The Birds, which is really, really, really cool. This is like maybe my second or third favorite Hitchcock film. And I've always wanted a better quality release of it, and you can't get much better than this. It's got the 4K and the Blu-ray in there. Very cool artworks, and tons of special features. I've talked about The Birds before. You guys know I love The Birds if you've been watching this channel. So, suffice to say that this is definitely a worthy 4K release, and if you're really a big fan of this movie, I would go seek this out, because there's just so much cool extras on here. With the palette, y'all. Okay. One more Blu-ray, guys. We have a Criterion release here. We have Night of the Living Dead. This is a pretty recent Criterion release. It's a 4K and Blu-ray combo. And there is the original film, a 96-minute cut, black and white, obviously. Then there's like the work print of the film as well. Night of Anubis is the title of that. And then there's just obscene amounts of extras in here as well. You can see that there's 3 discs in here. Lots of media to be had in this Criterion release, as usual. And then this is really, really cool too. I'll show this real quick. It comes with this great, sick poster. And then this quick little essay on the back, write-up on the back. And then some credits, obviously, that sort of stuff. Very cool release. I go pretty hard on Night of the Living Dead releases. I have quite a few. Most of them are cheap public domain printings, and this is probably the best one that I own now. Like, this is just a very high quality release of the film, and if you've never bought it before, shoot for this one, because it's a fantastic pickup. Very happy to have it. I haven't even got to all the extras yet either, and I've had it for a while. Okay, sticking with zombies and Hammer films, for that matter. So that's really funny. This first one I actually picked up a while ago. I forget where I got this first copy. And I watched it once. It was fun. You know, obviously. Great Hammer film. And then the second time that I watched it, or I tried to watch it, I was taking this disc out. And you can't really see. I can take it out now. It's broken now. It doesn't really matter. But as I was taking it out, it kind of just snapped in half. So I couldn't re-watch it, and therefore I didn't really want to review it until I found another copy. But luckily, I went down to Reanimated Records in the San Diego area. I forget what city in specific, but with my buddy Dan the Sandman. Shout out to Dan the Sandman. That's my boy. Gonna see you soon, bro. Hope you're well. Tell Mom I said I love her and all that shit. But we went together, and I actually found another copy. So, The Plague of the Zombies from 1963, I believe it is. Y'all are going ham on these commercials. Go away. There we go. But this is definitely a super classic Hammer film, and the zombies in this movie, they're like really similar to the like 20s through 30s, 40s voodoo zombies that you see in a lot of films. It's more so akin to that rather than like a viral zombie. But the build-up is maybe a tad dry if you're not really into older films, but I think it's pretty damn good and well paced for a Hammer film. And they can be a little bit dry, but the payoff at the end, there's a great climax. Definitely worth checking out if you're a fan of Hammer films and you haven't seen this one. So yeah, Plague of the Zombies, really fun. Now I have 2 copies. One just doesn't work. Alright, keeping it on the flesh eaters in terms of zombies, but not necessarily zombies. This is the same thing. This is not a zombie movie, but it is indeed the Flesh Eaters. This is from 1962, I believe, maybe 61. Maybe my dad can correct me, because he's the reason that I picked this up and wanted to see it in the first place. He said that this fucked him up when he was a kid real good. And we've watched that particular scene quite a bit on YouTube. Finally wanted to pick up the actual film and watch the whole thing, and it's a cheesy mess, and I loved every bit of it. Definitely like a drive-in flick for sure. If you're not into that, steer clear. It's very cheesy, but I had a good time with it. Flesh Eaters. Got a few more here. One more from the 50s, guys. This is a 2-pack. Not going to talk too much about The Terror from 1963. That's a classic film. You guys have heard me talk about it many times. I am going to talk about Ring of Terror from 1959. This is a very obscure film that I have not even heard of. I kind of stumbled upon this little 2-piece here, this double feature, And I looked it up, and it was from the 50s, and I said, there's no way I have this in my collection, so I wanted to grab it real quick. It was only like, people are like probably $1 to grab this. Like I said, 1959, very short runtime, about 70 minutes, and very dry supernatural flick from the 50s, like set on in a collegiate sort of area, like definitely like fraternal houses and like just college, campus sort of settings. It's just very dry. Like, not a lot happens. It's a lot of dialogue, and the print is not necessarily the best, so I'm kind of guessing on some of it. I kind of want to give it some more thought and some more examination, but for now I would just say that Ring of Terror is not so great, but it's very cool to find it, especially in such a weird, obscure, like old school DVD format like this. Family Value Collection, like that is all it says as far as the distributor on this thing. So yeah, it's got to be very old. I've never even seen Ring of Terror in like any other release. So got that one. Interesting. Gonna see what I make of it in time a little bit more as well. Okay, next up we have Flesh Feast from 1970 with Veronica Lake. It might be her last film, I don't really know. She looks absolutely pissed and just gives an abysmal fucking performance. It is all lost on her. This is a very, very terrible film. Like, I wanted to hold out hope that maybe something fun would happen, but this one was just really, really bad. Big shout out to Trash Palace for putting it out regardless. I love to come across stuff like this that is just almost irredeemable. It's so cheesy and fun for me. Like, I have fun with this sort of stuff, but like, I'm not going to tell you guys to go out and see it. This is definitely garbage. Like, Flesh Feast was pretty damn bad. Another thing that was pretty damn bad, but somewhat entertaining, I actually just got done watching this today too. I've seen it a couple times since I ordered it. And another one from Trash Palace. This is Wendigo from 1978. This movie's very, very short runtime as well. It's like 75 minutes or whatnot, even with credits and whatnot. Like, that doesn't even, there's like the credits cut off. This is such a strange transfer. It's got to be just like ripped off of VHS for sure. Like, I can't see it coming from any other source. It's very, very bad video quality, but it was just cool to see this very super obscure film. Not a lot happens. It's very dry most of the way through, but the end is pretty fun. Like, there's definitely some fun kills, and nothing's ever really explained, but I don't know. Late 70s, just ultra low budget madness. Another fun one from Trash Palace. Okay, and this last one's really, really fun as well. We have Oliver Stone's directorial debut. We have Seizure from 1974. This is like a really, really, really wacky slasher film. Like, kind of just turning slashers on its head before they were even like an established thing. It's like, instead of one mysterious killer, you have three really, really goofy ones, like almost like a circus of killers. There's a dwarf, there's a big strong man, and then there's like this witch sort of character that is also involved, and just lots of unconventional, strange, stupid kills, and awesome, ridiculous banter and dialogue, and yeah, you can't expect anything else from Oliver Stone. Like, it's definitely one of his films. So yeah, if you're a big fan of him, I would say that you could definitely seek this out on trashpalace.com. This would definitely be the one you go seek out compared to the other two I've showed you today. There might be other ways to own this. I'm not sure if a Seizure has any other releases, but I had no problems with this one. There's not a lot of special features, obviously. There's some trailers on the disc. That's about it. It is, basically a high-end boot, but I love these releases. So shout out to Trash Palace for putting this out. And yeah, I would definitely recommend Seizure from Oliver Stone, 1974. And that's going to wrap it up, guys. I'm going to get going now. I will see you sooner than later, hopefully. Like I said, I've been mainly focusing on my music career as of late, but I've still got tons of films to talk about. It's really just, finding the time to sit down and do it. And hopefully that time will come sooner than later, like I said. But until then, I hope everyone has a good night. Be good to each other, and yeah, go watch some horror films, and I will see you guys soon. Doob666 out.